Welcome back to ShopDog-Garage. This is going to be the first official video for the 57 Chevy project. I know it's shown up in a lot of other videos, some randoms and just things on the side, but this is getting serious enough that it's time to have its own series. So, as you can see, our rusty, trusty, beautiful little 350 here that we, oh my God, years and years and years ago, replaced a bent push rod, and it's been running great ever since. You know, that's coming out. Obviously, this frame isn't going to be used because we're going to use that one. He's gotten it mostly apart, and that's why we're starting this. One of the big problems with this car, of course, is it doesn't have much of a floor. The floors are completely cratered on this car. I believe this is a 210 post car. Don't quote me on it. I'm not a Tri-5 expert. I know he's been looking at finding parts and finding out just how hard some of these parts are to get for sedans. But you can see he's got this apart pretty well. I have a feeling we'll be doing a little more work on the frame tonight. And as I was coming in, I noticed that he's got the floor for the 57 sitting here in the paint booth, which is why we had to move the rocket ship that I don't have time to work on right now anyway. And you can see he's going to change the entire floor and all of the cross braces. And this is a fender, which is going to have to be modified. That's one of the problems with the sedan. We'll go over that as it happens and as I learn myself. So anyway, welcome to the 57 Chevy project. Okay, one of the things we didn't do last week that we think we might have shoulda, and it's not too late, is we're going to set those leaf back under here and just mark on here exactly where the center line of the axle was. Okay, so with this placed pretty accurately, I think, we have 41 inches to the center line. We just ran a plumb bob straight down and then marked it, coming off of the inside of this body mount. Conveniently, if I use this same point on this side and go here, I also got 41 inches. So that really helps me feel like I got that pretty square. So as long as when we're done with all of that stuff, that thing, the center line of it, is somewhere pretty close to 41 inches from this point on this hole, we'll be good. Okay, now that we know where that is, we can wheel that carcass back out. And since this is the first official video, I know I gave a real brief rundown, but I do believe this is another big block build, most likely. Another one where we're gonna get rid of that. We'll probably use that same giant 29-gallon tank that we used last time. Obviously, instead of the 4-link we did in the 55, we're doing that triangulated 4-link, which should be a little easier to get the exhaust around, hopefully. Yeah, and hopefully we don't have to dissect the trunk to clear the freaking shocks. I haven't decided what we're doing up front. We're most likely doing the 500 steering box conversion like we did in the other car. It sure is nice not to have that freaking steering column as a giant shaft. Because remember, this is back in the days when everybody got stabbed when they got in an accident because nothing collapsed and you had that giant spear. In fact, well, you guys, maybe you can even see it. Let's zoom in here. See the big shaft with the steering wheel? That'd go right in your chest. So we're going to go to a modern steering. But we'll go probably to that 500. And instead of doing the manual closeout like this one has, I think we will do a modern drag link. There's a really good chance we're just going to do the same upper and lower and coilover setup we did on the 55. It seemed fine. It all bolted together fine. We have not picked whose disc brake actually, why can't I reuse that conversion? Why can't I reuse this spindle? I think we did disc brakes on this car in the past. So I'm probably just reusing that spindle and brake setup. So that made that easy. I already know what I'm doing. Like I said, it's most likely big block Chevy. Obviously the motor mounts will change. We'll have to put our own on there. Tranny? What are you thinking?
Maybe the 5-speed again. We'll see.
But yeah, we'll see how your foot feels. We do have time on that. That's actually not the most important thing at this stage. Obviously this is a 3-speed transmission right now. Like I said before, you can see the floors are just, I mean, I don't even know what this is. Is this a pole barn or something? Something green. You can see somebody over the years, they just kept patching it. But he's got that entire brand new floor, so that'll beef that up. This, you know, most of this looks pretty sturdy. As you know from other videos, the quarters have to be done. I think what happens is when you've got those ornaments here, I think water and stuff gets behind them and they rust, because they all seem to be rusty there. Yeah, a little bit of work in the trunk area, not the end of the world. So not sure what interior combo choices are yet. He's got some time to think on that. New glass, all of that. Another black car. Yeah. Hole in the hood this time? No more holes in the hood. No. This one will be a nice, reliable car that keeps water out of the hood. So I wonder what crazy thing we're going to do to make it a little bit different. We'll find out. One more piece of information we would like to have in the future is we have 14.5 inches from the top of the frame to the top of this tube. I realize it's not exactly, you know, it's not all welded back up, it's not underweight, but that will help us when we're starting to set this up to get in the ballpark of where we want to be. If we've got roughly our 41 inches back and our 14.5 down, then we know the axle is going to be within the confines of the wheel well. You can see she's level there. And come up here. She's levelish here. So, you know, close enough for what we're doing right now. Okay, we now have this axle tube, and I know there's some kind of optical illusion. It doesn't look like it's centered, and it doesn't look like it was where it needs to be. But we have just measured and measured and measured. And from above you can see we're centered and flat, but I think because of that shape when you're standing behind it, it doesn't look centered. But that looks pretty close to exactly where we want that sucker to be. Now, if it was only as easy as saying, now make it be there. I have spent quite a bit of time going back and forth and triangulating and locating, and without actually having wheels and a body and everything, we can't get any more accurate to where center should be. But luckily, this isn't a Chevelle, this isn't a Camaro, this isn't something where we have to actually fall in a wheel arch, because look on a 57, there's stuff behind me. So if we were a 1/4 inch to either side of center, you would never know. So that makes us feel a lot better, because we have some adjustability, but because it's a triangulated, not as much as on a parallel 4-link with a panhard or a track bar. So what we're going to do is clean up some scrap tube now that we're located and tack that to the frame, so that no matter what we're doing now, that doesn't move, because I don't want to do this again. It took forever. Okay, so threw a couple tacks on there, and I'm sure you noticed we're no longer there. So in a minute I'm going to verify that we're where we're supposed to be, and yeah, that should be more than sturdy enough for what we've got to do. Okay, so this axle center line to roughly the center line of this axle is pretty stinking close to 115 inches, you know, if the tape wasn't whooped up. And we just found on one of the sheets, we strongly recommend you use these correct axles. And you come down here, 55 to 57 car, and it says right here, 115 inches. So we're within probably a quarter inch of what they recommend anyway. So at least we got something right. Okay, kind of going through these. We took the fancy nylocks off. We'll use those at the end. So for now, we've got these guys the same distance. They're both the same length. We got them kind of snugged up. And I just started looking at where all of this will fall. And that end's not going to be bad. That welds to a tube. But this is going to fall in here, which you can see is going to take a little grinding. What I'm trying to figure out is how to make the template to make my grinding go faster and easier. Because I really don't want to sit and monkey with it. I'm okay with it being angled. I'm going to keep it as flat as I can, but I want as much contact as possible, and obviously we're going to center it on the frame, but okay, got to think about how to make that template. Okay, so here is our next step. Remembering we still got to figure out how we want to do that. Decided the next thing we needed to do was figure out where the center of this needed to be relative to this frame, not this frame. And look at that. There, right there. So we're gonna go ahead and put a tack on that, and then we'll take this one off and do this one as well. So yeah, it's gonna work out. Okay, the grind on these is actually not gonna be that bad, because look at this. We bring that in to where it wants to naturally be in the center here, and look at that. We just got a little bit here. So let me verify that this one's similar. Better be. Oh, it's been a little rotated. Yeah, same thing. Perfect. Okay, let's get those marked and get those off of there. Okay, so we've got one in. You can see she's in line. Let's get the other one. You know, I think that's going to work out just fine when we do real weld. Yeah. That's pretty freaking slick. Okay, well, we're getting somewhere. Don't know where it is, but we're getting somewhere. Okay, and remember, these are just tacks, just to keep her going. Now, the one that goes to the pumpkin here, these are going to be a little more complicated. There's going to be some thought process involved here. So those will take some time. They're definitely not happening tonight. But I definitely want to look at them and see, you know, what the issues are. One of the obvious issues is the fact that, you know, it's a 9-inch and the webbing, I'm sure you noticed, not the same distance side to side. That's because the pinion is offset. So we got to work with that. And that's going to make it fun. So trying to figure out how those ears go, that's going to take us a little bit. The important thing is we have our 2 degrees down to match our 2 degrees up, because, you know, U joints want to work. So I think we're going to be in the right area. Here's where our shock is going to go. We have a little mount that goes up here. That's these guys. Oh! So, you know, from there it'll go up here somewhere. We're gonna have to figure out where though, and how do we line them, what do we grind, you know, what the plane needs to be. Don't know any of that yet. So these are just, you know, perches. So a lot of things to do yet, but that's quite a nice start. We're trying to work this out, but I don't know what car this is, but these cars have freaking body bolts there. So gotta figure out how we want to do that. We're probably gonna have to ride under that body mount. So we're gonna lower her down and take a peek real quick. With that, I'm gonna toss her over to ShopRec. So we got some learning and some questions here, because it sure looks like we lose these body mounts. And if we do, we do, and it is what it is. That's hot rodding. But we're going to ask Progressive, the people who made this little kit, if that was what we were expecting to do, just to make sure. So, you know, before we go doing anything silly. On the upside, we're pretty happy with how things are going. I think we've got an idea on most of it, but getting that upper link is going to matter. And then we can pull the shocks out, cut these things free, get the shock height set. So there's still some more work to do, but we'll get there. You know, can't be that hard, right? And boy, we've really thought about, do we grind these down on a 57? And we decided no, because we just don't know how this is made. One thing that's neat, that's 4 inches wide. This is 3 inches wide. So whatever they did here, it's like they split the metal and shrunk it down and did some kind of crazy weld. And we're not gonna get too crazy on that. We're just gonna leave it. So thanks for watching. Please like, comment, and subscribe. And hope you enjoy the 57 project. I know you've seen it in the background, but now it's got its own videos. This has been another ShopRex approved video. Thanks for watching.